Hi, this is James from Peledex Pest Control. In this video, we're going to look at a rat treatment which we've just completed. Back in February, we were contacted by the owners of a restaurant who had been having issues with rats getting into the kitchen. The restaurant owners had already had a different pest control company in who'd carried out a number of visits but were unable to get this rat activity under control. Understandably, the restaurant owners wanted to get the rat activity under control as quickly as possible. Not only is it bad for business and can harm your reputation having rat activity in your restaurant, you can also get fined quite heavily. So I've just got a few examples that have been in the media recently. There's this restaurant in Cardiff that was fined £10,000 due to a rat infestation. We've got a greengrocers in London that was fined nearly £27,000. So, understandably, the restaurant's owners wanted us in as quickly as possible. Now, we were quite busy that week, did manage to fit them in on an evening. What that meant is the restaurant was already open by the time we got there. So it did limit the amount of access we had to some of the areas. But even so, we had a good look around the kitchen and the areas that we could get to. We could see that there had been some activity outside in the bin room, and the rats had chewed through a door frame. First of all, just explain how the restaurant is. It's a restaurant located up on the first floor with a retail unit below it. There's a staircase at the back of the restaurant which takes them down to a ground floor bin store and a small storage cupboard. And rats had chewed through the wooden door frame, which was allowing them access outside into the bin area. So we put some boxes with traps in the bin area, and we put bait boxes around the kitchen. But we also continue to carry out an inspection. During this inspection, we realised that there was an internal soil stack for one of the toilets, which extended up through a roof void or loft, and then continued out through the roof. On this initial inspection, because it was open to customers, we found there was a loft hatch to get access into this void. However, it was right in the customer area, so we weren't able to get ladders out and have a good look inside there on that initial inspection. However, when we came back a few days later, we had caught one rat in a trap outside. The boxes in the kitchen, the bait had not been touched. It's not a complete surprise, because rats will generally take a bit of time before they decide to venture into a box, especially in an area such as a kitchen where they may have access to other foods. But on this occasion, we managed to get in before the restaurant was open, and we could access the roof void. Now, as soon as we opened the loft hatch, we could see rat droppings all over the place. And it didn't take very long to work out what the issue was. We looked over to where the soil stack, where we expected the soil stack to be, extending through the toilet, and there was a junction on the soil stack with an uncapped 3-inch, a hole for a 3-inch pipe on there. So rats were able to go through the drainage system and had basically an open access into this loft space. From the loft space, They were then able to access wall cavities, which got them not only down to the bin storage area where they chewed through the door frame, but it gave them access into kitchens and basically free run around the whole building. So I got the loft space baited up. I also found a hole in the kitchen that led into the wall cavity that I could get some bait on a wire and post it into there. And I put some traps up in the loft as well to see if we could catch any on traps up there. And yeah, I left it and did a follow-up visit the following week. When I looked up in the loft, it was looking pretty good. They'd taken a significant amount of bait. We didn't catch anything in the traps, but the wall cavity bait had all gone as well. So I replenished all the baits. Again, left it for another week, expecting to find some more bait take. However, when I went back in there, the baits in the loft had been untouched. The bait in the wall cavity had gone, but yeah, the stuff in the loft had been untouched, which normally you'd think that could be a good sign. They'd had a good feed on the bait the previous week, so yeah, so it would have been a good sign. But the staff reported to me that they had had a whole chicken go missing and get taken by rats, which indicated to me that, first of all, the rats had decided they'd rather go and find chicken than eat the bait, and that if they ate a whole chicken overnight, there was probably still a significant number of rats left in the building. So now I needed to change my strategy a little bit. I wasn't getting the rats weren't eating any of the bait from the kitchen, and now they stopped eating the bait from the loft. So I only had that one location in the wall cavity that I was getting any take from. And as I said, the staff were reporting food was being taken. So what I needed to do is try and cut off the access to the kitchen and food store areas for the rats. So I went round and looked for any hole that I could find that the rats had been using or could use to get out of the wall cavity, and I sealed it up to try and block them into the wall cavity and force them to take the bait from the loft area and the wall cavity where I could get the bait into. Now, normally, I wouldn't have said this was necessary. Normally, if you can get stuff up into a loft, they'll quite happily take it from there. But on this occasion, the rats had a food source that they preferred, and they knew they could still access it. So it was necessary to go around and seal all the holes. I found a number of holes that have been chewed through wall cavities at wall floor junctions, some up in ceilings as well. So I filled the holes with wire mesh and sealant and mouse stop and everything that I had in the van, really, just to try and contain the rats and stop them from having any access to the kitchen and any access to any food other than the bait that I'd left for them. And this strategy has worked. We've had no sign of rat activity in the restaurant for 3 weeks now. All in all, it took 6 weeks from the initial visit to getting a clear visit free from rat activity. Right, so just to sum things up, the previous company didn't manage to get control of the rat activity for the simple reason they didn't look up in that loft hatch. Not sure why they didn't. Probably because they saw the holes in the outside of the building and thought it was just rats getting in from outside. I can't be sure, but yeah, hopefully you've found this video interesting, and if you have and you're still watching now, if you could press the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks.